I was emaciated. I don't think I'd bathed in a week. I pulled out all of my hair. Yeah, I couldn't stop scratching my head. So I had all these like open wounds and sores, and I couldn't sleep. I would constantly move from room to room in my apartment and just hold my head and try to, will the flashbacks away.
Hey there, my name is Sean, and this is Suicide Noted. On this podcast, I talk with suicide attempt survivors and ideators so that we can hear their stories. Every year around the world, many millions of people try to take their own lives, and we almost never talk about it. We don't listen well about it. We don't engage well with it at all. It's a problem. So one of my goals with this podcast and the upcoming tour, among other things, is to have more conversations and hopefully better conversations with survivors, in large part to help more people in more places hopefully feel a little less shitty and a little less alone. Now, 5 years on, more than 5 years, we're going on tour next week. We're starting in Raleigh, North Carolina. We are ending in Tucson, Arizona, and we will have at least 15 and up to 20 stops along the way. I am looking forward to having these conversations, to meeting people, to engaging with whomever shows up to this free event, to documenting it as best I can along the way and trying to raise funds because they are needed. So, in addition to listening, if you can help out with a financial contribution, you know where this is going. It is tax deductible. We are fiscally sponsored. Please visit givebutter.com/suicide noted. You can find the link on our website, in the show notes, in the podcast description. Of course, we're going to plaster it on social media and everywhere we can because we really need it. It helps on the tour, for the film, other projects. It's cool shit. Help if you can. If the only thing you want to do is listen, that's good too. It's great. Thank you. If you listen on Apple, please rate and review this podcast. It helps a lot. And on Spotify, we've got a weekly poll. Check it out. And our past polls on Spotify will be live for quite a while, so you can answer them too. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Finally, we are talking about suicide on this podcast. My guests and I do not hold back, so please take that into account before you listen or as you listen. But I do hope you listen because there is so much to learn. Today, I am talking with Debbie. Debbie lives in California, and she is a suicide attempt survivor. Hey, Debbie.
Hi, it's nice to meet you.
You're on the book tour, huh? Virtual book tour.
Virtual book tour. Yes, this is my last stop. So.
Is it really?
It is.
Okay. Very cool.
Very cool. I'm looking forward to this dialogue and shedding on the questions that nobody wants to ask, but everyone wants to know.
Oh, I am going to ask. I promise, Debbie. History of maladies. How long did it take you to finally decide on a name?
The name was the last and final thing that I thought of, and it actually just came from a paragraph in the book. So I was really lucky. The working title was Inpatient.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I had more distance and a sense of humor, it was Off My Rocker. The fact when I reread it and did some editing, that sentence kind of stuck out to me. And I thought, that's it, because that's what it's like inside the hospital, is to be like a cog in this system. And
yeah, I've had 2 stays, both less than a week, and neither good. All right, let's dive in.
I do have a little neurological deficit from my attempt. So if I take a long time, but I look like I'm thinking, I just can't quite fire and talk the way I used to.
No problem at all. And feel free, if I am doing anything that makes that harder for you, just tell me. I have a thick skin. I'm from New York. Don't worry about it.
I think we'll be fine. You'll recognize the look where I'm like, oh, I'm trying to say it, but I just can't quite yet.
So we're going to dive into your life.
Okay.
And certainly talk about the book, which is sort of overlaps a lot with that, obviously.
Yes.
But why is it, do you think, Debbie, you've been alive on the earth for a little while?
45 years.
45 years. But why is it, do you think, for real? You said earlier, a lot of people want to know about it. So few people either ask. Why is that, do you think?
Maybe people on some level are slightly, they want to know, but it's scary to actually know. And to know, for me, they'd see me as I am, like a happy-go-lucky kind of character, but they would have to hear about and experience the other side of me that was in so much pain, it was almost animalistic, you know? and
Mm.
really feel and maybe confront uncomfortable emotions within themselves, I think, as well. So it's easier to just kind of like not ask than
Hmm.
to go there and open this can of worms
Hmm.
that you can't control.
You know, it would be a cool book.
What?
All the things people say to avoid actually talking about it. It's not even a book. It's like a coffee table book. It's just like each page is like one weird thing. And when I say that, I mean mostly the people who would be asking you about it, not how you respond.
Right.
Not like, totally ignoring it. They're like, "So you're okay? You're good? You're good?"
You're okay now?
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one. The now is really drawn out and
Oh, ooh, I like
yeah.
that. I like that. So now we're really playing with language. It's not just the word. Obviously, it's just how now. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. And only people who have really been on the other side get to talk about it with respect to this book. That's just the limit, just like the podcast.
Yeah, and thank you for facilitating them. It's a really important role.
Trying. I didn't read the book. I don't think I had the book, and I wasn't going to read it. I'm not that guy. I'm not Joe Rogan. I don't have a team. It's just Sean, bald guy in North Carolina, usually. Where do you want to start?
So there's like three main things that sort of contributed to like what took the ideation over the edge. And so one is I was involved with a new age group that like spiraled into a cult dynamic. So, and then the guru happened to find out that I had this small inheritance and decided like, oh, I can manipulate her and I can get the money if she
Mm-hmm.
kills herself. Super intense and morbid, but that's actually what happened. I mean, that's it. People are greedy.
Can you share with me the three things, and then we'll dive into each one?
Sure. So the cult dynamic, off of my medication for over a year, and my husband was in India with his family. So I was alone in my apartment and with my thoughts and this man trying to control me.
You have one attempt.
I have one attempt when I was a teenager. I tried, but before I took pills, I randomly had a seizure. So it like saved my life.
So when you're a teenager, you're growing up in Northern California.
Michigan.
One almost attempt, seizure saves you. Interesting.
Yes, very interesting.
I know it's been a few years, but if you can recall as best you can, after being sort of saved by the seizure when you were a teenager, how
Mhm.
are you feeling about that? Are you like relieved, or you're like, "Fuck, I really did want to die, and now I'm here."
I feel relieved, actually quite happy to be alive and to be here. That attempt taught me that I do need to be on medication. That at that age, I already had severe anxiety and PTSD and things that
Hmm.
needed like really serious medical attention. So, in
Hmm.
a way, it was eye opening on that respect.
Yeah.
So, if I just framed the earlier part of my life, so I grew up in a very affluent suburb outside of Detroit. And although I was lucky in many respects, there was there was so much expectation in the household in which I grew up and surrounding me. And I grew up in a very competitive environment. And I felt extremely alienated and alone as a child. I never quite fit in and I was always bullied. And I did have a very rough upbringing. I was confronted with abuse and looking at serious mental illness with my family members at a very young age.
Hmm.
And then when I was 17, I was assaulted. I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that PTSD almost broke me. It was
Mm.
just so awful. And that actually contributed to why I tried to take my own life because I had a flashback so intense, I would rather die than go through that again in my head.
It must be so hard because if someone hasn't gone through the thing, obviously everyone's experiences are unique, but you say that we're limited by words. As I PTSD from this trauma, from this assault. You can only, I mean, outside of maybe art, how do you express it? There's just no way. A guy like me, for example, in a million years, I'll never get it. I guess empathy matters. You don't get it, but you're like, but I just can't imagine what it's like to go through something like that and you'd rather die.
Right. I know. And it just boggles my mind too, because most of the time it's been, I don't know, like a long time since that trauma. So, and I have a happy life. So I can put it like the medicine helps kind of categorize it. And if I dealt with it, it was kind of like in the back of my head and wasn't like on my frontal cortex, but without the medicine, the flashbacks were just like nonstop. Yeah, and it's a gritty thing that most people don't really, it's another kind of like a, see, most people don't want to know. They don't really, or if they do hear it, there's like endless apologizing and then it makes
Mm-hmm.
you feel weird.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't talk about it. So like
Mm-hmm.
you know, mentioned, I just channel it through creative enterprises and
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what saved me.
What point do you move out west?
When I was 18, I
Oh.
had to escape because the assault happened when I was 17. I had to get out. My older brother lived in San Francisco, so I knew there was a place where people like in the late 90s walked around with pink hair and like mohawks, and I knew that's where I had to be so I could be my weird self, my authentic self.
Is your hair pink right now? I don't.
It's not, it's red. It's been damaged from being pink for so many decades. So now I just do red.
Right. Did you have a I know mohawk.
No mohawk. I never did a mohawk,
All
but I
right. So you
always
didn't really
had.
go all in, Debbie. You kind
I
of
know. In retrospect, I was just an amateur.
little. There's always a little Michigan in you.
Yes.
When you get out to San Francisco, how long does it take you to meet this? What eventually you call a cult, a new age, whatever it is. How many years go by?
So I was 18 and I went to college in San Francisco, which was great because of the location. I wasn't really that. First, I was very dedicated to my studies and I had pushed the assault. I buried it. And then when I was 21, just
Mm-hmm.
before I was graduating, I had a complete nervous breakdown and the memories started invading my consciousness. I stopped functioning and I did have ideation, suicidal ideation, but I didn't act out. So I spent the next few years trying to help myself as best I could. But, there was no internet. You didn't talk about it with your friends back then. I had to kind of do it on my own. So I became medicated and in therapy when I was 23. When I was 24, I met my husband and I did manage to graduate college. And that year, my aunt said, "Oh, I'll take you on a trip as your college graduation." And I didn't think anything of it except, oh, who doesn't want a free vacation? But it turned out to be with the group that would become the cult.
Hmm.
Yes. And it just started with some sage and chakra balancing. And then it, ended with me trying to take my own life.
Was it always a cult, or did it, as you were changing, it was actually changing?
It evolved. So
Yeah.
it changed and grew and evolved. I mean, in retrospect, the two people that were the leaders never seemed to work like a regular job and they didn't have any financial issues. And they were always pushing these healing sessions. And they seemed to pick group members that had some level of affluence, but who were also vulnerable, whatever it was, from like a childhood experience or depression or anxiety or just loneliness. So they kind of preyed upon people that they could help, but who would also line their pocketbooks. And it just got more and more intense. And then it just hit a breaking point when I was 37.
All right. So this is going on for over a decade.
Yes. I was just going to say, I had no reason to doubt, the motive of my family member.
Did she know what was going on? And she mean well?
She actually thought she was helping me.
Right. Right.
She's and to this day, is still so brainwashed. She can't see the truth of what happened.
Are we going to call out the name of this group or no?
They don't really have, no, I'd rather not. It was like a husband and wife, right? And then the wife passed away and the husband got super greedy. And that's when it all went out of control.
And this was mostly happening in and around San Francisco?
It wasn't. It was in Brooklyn, New York at first. Then they migrated to Kansas City, Missouri, and that's where they're based now.
Hmm.
So random. I'm not sure why, but
And then you said, so there were three sort of components as you framed it to the attempt. It was the cult, stopping your meds.
mhm.
Does that overlap with the cult?
Yes, I was encouraged by them that I did not need them, that all Western medicine was bad, and the guru was acting as my therapist. He said I didn't need to see my therapist anymore, conveniently. Huge overlap. And then the onslaught of PTSD from the attack when I was 17.
In part because you're not on your meds.
Yes.
In that time,
Hmm.
there are people in your life who are like, Debbie.
Yeah, what's
But
definitely. But I pushed them away,
yeah,
every single one of them. Yeah.
so powerful, the power of these groups.
I know, it's unbelievable. And yeah, I still can't believe it happened to me, but it did. And so
Yeah,
quickly.
so fast.
Yeah.
If I would have asked, teenage Debbie, hey, Debbie, in 10 years from now, you're going to be like totally into a cult. Would you have been like, Sean, absolutely no chance?
Oh yeah, I would have just like blasted my Nirvana and walked around in my ripped jeans and just said, "Oh, that's ridiculous. That's not for me."
All right. So how do you want to take me, and thereby the whoever's listening to this, and thank you for listening, by the way, from cult, not taking meds, and then there's a point in your life. Like I kind of remember, like, when does it really start going down? And then I know your husband's away, and then that day comes. So how do you want to take us there, however you want?
I had at this point, the day that I tried to commit suicide, it had been a year about that I had been completely off of my antidepressants, which were a specific class of antidepressants that work on norepinephrine and serotonin. Also helped with intrusive memories, thoughts, and generalized anxiety. So not only was I the lowest I've ever been in my life in terms of depression, there was extreme amounts of panic, anxiety, PTSD flashbacks that I just couldn't control. And so my husband had been away for probably 2 weeks. And during this time, I stopped eating. I stopped drinking water. I started drinking alcohol, which I'd always avoided because of my meds. And I just found myself at a liquor store one day and I honestly can't remember how I got there, but I bought the biggest bottle of vodka I could find, took it home. And I had been I was filling prescriptions, but not taking them and saving pills. I was stockpiling. And it's worth noting that I had two friends who actually visit me in the hospital who came over one night because I think they were concerned. And before I let them in, I hid everything in the refrigerator. So on some level, like I didn't want people to know what was happening. And so the only person that really knew how dire I was and in what terrible circumstances was the leader of the cult, and actually by proxy, my aunt, because she kept telling me that, like the cult leader did, that it was karmic and that I was working through past life stuff and that there was a finite level of anxiety that one could feel and that I just, had to work. Just, it was always my fault, essentially. I always needed to pay more money and have more sessions, and that would heal me. So that particular day, I don't think I'd eaten in, I don't know, 4 days. I hadn't had anything to drink except vodka. I was smoking a ton of marijuana, and the flashbacks were so bad. I couldn't separate the past from the present. I
Right.
was just in such despair.
If I were to see you, if I were a fly on the wall, so to speak, you're drinking, you're smoking, the flashbacks, are you in bed? Are you curled up in a ball? Are you running around your house, bouncing off the walls? Is it a mix? What does it look like?
It looks scary as an
Yeah.
onlooker. Like I was emaciated. I was like 70 pounds less than I am now, which for me was like really, really skinny. I don't think I'd bathed in a week and I pulled out all of my hair. So I was basically bald. Yeah, I couldn't stop scratching my head. So I had all these like open wounds and sores and I couldn't sleep. And so I was just like, I would constantly just move from room to room in my apartment and just like hold my head and try to, will the flashbacks away.
And also all the while you're flashing back.
Yeah, I was clearly someone in torment, like I see all the time on the streets of San Francisco. Like I was that person, but
Yeah.
inside my own house.
And meanwhile, your husband is away. He's calling, I'm sure.
Yes, you would think, but he is like one of these special gems of a human being who does not like technology. And he didn't even have a cell phone at that point, and he didn't have a computer or email. So he wanted to, but no, he wasn't.
Yeah, no judgments. I'm just sort of
Yeah.
gauging what it's like for you. And it's interesting.
Yeah.
The two people that know aren't, one of them is not him.
Right.
He wasn't one of them.
No, he wasn't.
I'm curious about something else, and then I want to get back to as much as you want to share about that day and then the attempt. For more than 10 years, you're in a cult and you're married to him. You married him at 24, or at least met him at 24.
I met him at 24. We got married a year after I was released from the psych ward. So we've been married 7 years, I think, or 8 years.
Wow. That's a
Yeah.
long courtship.
Yes. I
That's a
finally did the right thing and got down on one knee and asked him.
Oh, that's so romantic. I like it. That's
Yeah.
a patient man right there.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, he's a part of your life.
Yes.
Is he part of the cult?
No. He was
So,
a very concerned bystander.
so in that when I asked earlier about people saying, Debbie, he's one of them, and you're like, no.
For the last 10 years, he's saying, I don't trust them. There's something not right. You're spending too much time, money. They're not giving you good advice. But by this time, I was already down on my meds and I lost my reasoning skills and my logic.
Mm-hmm,
I
yeah.
was like hooked into this belief that they could, fix me with
Yeah.
healing sessions.
Well, I mean, that just speaks to when you're in pain, you will do anything to get out of pain. I
Exactly.
mean, pain, not necessarily physical, but pain. And I believe that 100%.
Oh, yes.
If you are in pain, you will do almost anything to get out of pain. Full stop. That's all you need to know. Why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? If you just boil it down to like, I was in pain, like 90%, that's your answer. I think really like most of the time.
Right. Make it stop, make it go away. And if there was like a syringe full of heroin, I would have done it.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, that was totally where I was.
Yeah. People that are in pain that want the pain to go, I have a word for that, and that's called survival.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
So true.
You were sharing some stuff about, especially like the sessions, don't take your meds. I was like, man, that's almost like homicidal behavior, what they're doing.
Yeah, it is.
Now, do they get caught? Do they go to jail? Are they a church? So they're a nonprofit. So they're like above the law and with someone. It's fascinating to me.
Right. Yeah, it really is. I mean, I know. And I don't know much about what happened after, except that I did confront them and I got silence.
Of course you did.
Of course I did. Yeah.
I mix up the word sociopathic and psychopathic, but you're like,
Me too.
does empathy just not exist in your entire being?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just about the dollar sign, but what about the person?
And what is the dollar sign getting you? I mean, sure, it's cool. You got a nice car. Well, I mean, vacation, but it's weird.
No, it's just, yes, it's bizarre. I don't think
It's
I'll ever
bizarre.
understand it.
All right, so you're struggling. You're in the house. You're drinking. You're drugging. You're flashbacking nonstop. Your hair is out.
Yep.
Your husband's away.
Yep.
Why was that day different than the other days?
It had been going, I think I just reached a level where I could not tolerate that level of pain anymore. So like you said, I just reached for what I had, which was a gallon of vodka, the biggest size you can buy, like the super size, and the pills I had been stockpiling.
Mm-hmm.
There was a part of me that I think, didn't want to do this. And so I just pressed call on my phone and dialed the last person that I had spoken to. And unfortunately, it happened to be my aunt. I don't know what was going on in her mind. I like to think she was panicked, but she hung up on me. And once I heard that dial tone, it was like it was reverberating like 360 in my head. And I just thought, I didn't think, I just reached. And I just took the pills and I drank as much as I could. And the next thing I know, I woke up on a psychiatric ward.
No, I want to ask more about that. But one question, why did you make any call at all?
I think I learned, from my almost attempt when I was a teenager that there was a way out. And I wanted there to be some hope. A part of me really, really wanted to believe that I could disentangle myself from this pain without doing something so drastic that it might kill me.
Okay, so you drink the drink, you ingest the pills, and you must black out or something, because do you have any idea how you got to the hospital?
I do, yes. So this is basically from a friend. So the aunt in her panic, instead of calling 911 immediately, she didn't want to involve the Western medical system. So she called a friend of mine who had met her once on a retreat. She said, "Can you go check on Debbie?" So this friend stops everything she's doing at work. For those listeners that don't really know, like the half life of Xanax is very short. So all the time, this crazy amount of pills are circulating in my system and damaging me. And so my friend, obviously, I can't answer, I'm in my living room, unconscious. So she calls the police. Police come and the fire truck, and I left a window open in my living room. And so this police officer broke protocol because he didn't have a warrant, but he climbed up a ladder and into my living room through the window and saved me and took me to the hospital.
But you learned this after the fact.
After the fact, totally after, like while I'm in this on the psychiatric ward, I learn of this.
And when you were on the ward or wherever you were, did you learn like if that didn't happen, you die?
I did, yes. I felt it because the damage that was done neurologically was so bad. I knew I had been very close to death, if not dead, and, came back. It felt that intense.
And what's the full title of your book?
It's The Factory of Maladies, 7 Days on a San Francisco Psych Ward.
Okay. I like kind of an alliteration.
I'm a fan of alliteration too.
Sure. I'm going to ask you about the hospital, but I think this is actually an interesting time to talk about the book because obviously it's almost the same conversation.
Right.
When did you decide to write the book?
In the hospital.
So 7 days. So I don't need to ask you how long you were in the hospital. At some point during those 7 days, you're like, I'm going to write a book.
Right. So my cognition obviously was really damaged. My memory was fragmented. When I first woke up on the psychiatric ward, the only reason I knew my name was because it was written on my hospital bracelet. That's how bad off I was. I was on my medication and things transpired. I began to have fragments of my memory come back. And so I started experiencing flashbacks of my suicide attempt. The first thing that I heard was this guttural, animalistic scream that I let out before I took the pills. Even to this day, it gives me goosebumps. Like, I just can't believe a sound like that came out of me because it was so desperate, so full of pain, so much.
I don't know much about flashbacks, but I when you're flashing back, if that's the right way to use it,
Sure.
flashbacking, you actually kind of re-experience it.
I do. Yeah. And so that led to like intense, even more trauma than the hospitalization itself. But amidst all of this, with my memories coming back and being on my medication for 3 or 4 days, I did start to improve. And somewhere in my chart, there was this like tiny little note that said I was a writer. And there was a very kind nurse who kind of took me under her wing on the psych ward. And one night I was trying to go to sleep, which was, I'm sure you can relate, very challenging in those kind of institutions. She had sneaked into my room and I was terrified. I thought, this is weird and not right. And she went like that. And she gave me a miniature golf pencil and a notebook, blank notebook. For anyone that knows, sharp objects strictly prohibited, including mini golf pencils. She said one word to me, write. And she basically ran out of my room.
I don't know if you remember Rocky, the movie Rocky.
Yeah.
This is when Adrian is in the bed. She looks at Rocky and she says, "Come here." Because he's got this boxing match, but he's afraid and he might not fight. And the music starts playing because it's a movie. And she just says, "I want to tell you something. Just one thing. Win."
Exactly. Right. Win. Yeah. My own version of being Adrian. Definitely.
I've got a few things I want to say about these psych units. People are used to me ranting on this, I know. Let us take love entirely in care and empathy and compassion completely out of it and then try to heal people.
That's why I wrote the book, is to, not to write an expose or to, complain about how badly I was treated, but to show this is what happens when you are in the most vulnerable
Hmm.
place emotionally you've ever been in, and you need the most care and the most empathy and the most taking under the wing.
Hmm.
99% of the time, I was treated like I had no feelings whatsoever. I was
Hmm.
just a patient,
Hmm.
be stabilized and discharged.
Right. You either have to get very lucky or be very rich.
Exactly. So unfair. I don't get it. And I watched patients with me and I had conversations with them, and we were in a nice place. Like, you want to talk really
Hmm.
awful places, go to a state run facility,
Hmm.
talk about the one, down the street with the group showers, or, where you don't even get your own bathroom. It just goes on where the nurses play crazy eights all day. The horror stories.
And you are in your mid 40s now, early 40s?
45, so mid, yeah.
And when was this? The hospital thing?
I think I was 37 or 38. 37, 37.
Okay. If I had asked you, and you seem like a pretty empathetic person, pretty open, pre hospital stay, if I had told you about what's common, it's typical in these hospitals, how do you think you would have responded having not gone through that?
I think a part of me would have been in disbelief. And that's another reason I pushed myself out of my comfort zone and shared my story, was because even I couldn't believe it at times.
So you were in the hospital, you stay there 7 days. Most of that time, I imagine, is in the hospital you're referencing. I imagine when you first got care, you were taken to like an ER.
That is correct, yes. But because I had been unconscious for so long, and because of the half-life of the pills I took and various factors, there was nothing they could do for me except give me fluids. And just to give you a frame of reference, like, up until that point, I had been taking anti-anxiety meds 3 times a day under a doctor's supervision. So not only did I have to deal with the physical ramifications of a suicide attempt, I also had to go cold turkey off of Xanax in the hospital
Mm, mm.
with no,
It's so fucking crazy.
yeah, no help whatsoever.
So crazy.
Yeah.
But at some point in your bed, probably, or on a desk,
Yeah.
the nurse, she gives you a piece of paper or a pad and a pencil and says, write. And you, I imagine, do that.
Well, I attempted to write, but my neurological deficits were so intense. What I heard in my head, I couldn't get my hand to write. So in frustration, I tried to write, but it just looked like a child's scribbles. And it wasn't until months later that I could actually write again, after a lot of neurological healing had taken place.
Given what you shared, especially about the neurological things, neurological damage, I'm actually surprised that you got out after 7 days. I would have thought maybe longer.
Yes, I'm surprised too, but because the staff wasn't exactly attentive, I think a lot of it passed under the radar. So
Yeah.
I
Well, I
was
mean, how attentive can you be when you're playing crazy eights?
right. Yeah,
You,
exactly.
you can
Yeah.
only do how many things can you do at once? But a lot of people, I'm talking like 98% of people who say they want to write a book, they don't write a book.
But I didn't want to. It was a process, and it actually was really triggering in the beginning. It made everything worse. But then I realized, well, I'm either going to be haunted by flashbacks of my hospitalization, or I'm going to channel it into something else.
Writing is hard.
It's really hard. And I wrote some short stories prior to this, but, writing about something so intense and that made me feel so vulnerable it was awful in the beginning. In the end, it was my ultimate catharsis, but like 75% of it was really triggering, basically.
Yeah, was it? Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think the book's done, even though it's done?
No, of course. I would never think it was done. I would drag it out probably till the end of time if I could. And I actually had no intention of sharing it with anyone except for my partner and some close friends and family.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, you weren't trying to get rich?
I wasn't. No, funnily enough, although I'm, can be outgoing, I'm quite introverted in a lot of ways. And like, this is it's not something that I would want to do.
Hmm.
But the response I got from the book, and it didn't matter if people liked my writing style or it wasn't about that. People would pull me aside and say, "Oh, I felt this way when I was like
Mhm.
30 and my baby was born and the worst postpartum depression of my life, or my uncle committed suicide, or anything, all manner of things." And I thought, oh my God, everybody can relate to this on some level, but we're not talking about it. It was always like in secret, kind of. And I thought this stigma around mental illness is just, it's not acceptable anymore.
So you started in 2000, either 17 or 18, and it's published this year?
Yes.
All right. That's some grit and stick-to-itiveness right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so a question. You're in the hospital. Your husband's away. So how does he find out? And does he come back? Like, I mean, I know it's not, the podcast isn't about him, but he's part of your life. I'm curious. What happens there?
Right. So while I was in the hospital, so my suicide attempt and almost death is not enough to wake up my aunt. And so she's still part of this cult. And unbeknownst to me, is having tarot readings with the same very terrible cult leader. And
Uh-huh.
they're conniving ways to extend my hospitalization or to have me transferred to a state-run long-term facility. And she had schemed to be my medical power of attorney while I was in the ER.
Shit scares me, man.
Yeah, it was terrifying. And so my brain's not working. I'm not myself. And yet for 1 second, I snapped out of it and just asserted that I was an adult and that I wasn't going, into another facility. And that was like enough for the doctor to back off. So the only ally I had were all the friends that I had pushed away. They were still there.
Mm.
Once they tracked down where I was, because my aunt didn't want to share with anybody, they started to visit me. And it was like that support and reality check that got me through it.
Mm.
And so when my husband returned from India, the 6th day of my hospitalization, he just found a note on the floor of our apartment saying that I was in the hospital. And he knew from the address that it was a psych ward because he
Whoa,
had been.
whoa, 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 whoa. Who wrote the note?
My aunt somehow connived to get the keys to my apartment to sage my apartment, but she was actually looking for my will and my personal documents.
Well, so hang on one second, Debbie.
Yeah.
Earlier you said that and I'm sure this was accurate, then meant well. So she introduced you to this group. This isn't a bash on your aunt podcast either.
No,
It's a whole
no,
lot of not quite. Come on, man.
I know. It's low. It's so sad. It broke my heart. It still does every single day.
So you get out and your husband's around now and you're writing. So
Yeah.
fortunately, a lot of that other stuff that could have happened didn't happen.
Right.
Published author. Hello.
Thank you.
How does it feel to be an author? I know there's probably other things to call you that probably feel even better, like survivor or something. But is it kind of cool to be a writer? Like
It's
a
great to be a writer. I always wanted to be a writer ever since I was a child. So who knew it would actually happen? And so I am happy to be a writer and to, every once in a while hear that my story has helped someone. That makes it worthwhile.
That's what the favorite part of this podcast is for me. Is when people reach
Yeah.
out, like, "Thanks for the podcast, man." That was like blah, 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 whatever they say, right? It's great. Now, here's the thing. Remember we were talking about earlier about how people talk about this stuff or engage with you or others. How are you now? So I'm going to assume just because you're out of a hospital and just because you have a great partner and just because I see the home you're in, I think, and it looks really pretty, and just because you have cool red hair and just because you're a published author doesn't make life amazing all the time.
No, not at all. Sometimes it's so frustrating because I think I would say 90% neurologically who are healed or healthy, but the deficits frustrate me like on an hourly basis. And it's a constant reminder of that time in my life. That's hard.
Did any doctor sort of say this is the damage? When you're living with it, so you know how does it present as different than Debbie before?
It kind of comes and goes, but a lot of it is like the way that I speak and I think. It's hard for me to get the thoughts out of my mouth in a concise way,
Mhm.
or I take a long time in between sentences and it's not on purpose. It's because I'm trying to process and to speak. Almost, I had a friend who had a stroke, and it was like we
Mm.
could relate because it's like you want to say something, but you just can't quite get it out. And I used to speak Spanish, and I like lost
Wow.
all that language, like whoosh, disappeared. And there's just, little things that still hang around.
How often these days, if at all, do you ideate?
I don't. I'm very lucky. I haven't ideated since that day.
You're on meds?
I am, yes.
See a doctor, therapist, counselor?
Yes, all of the above.
Right. So you're not like just in the clear. You're just getting back to the basics, doing what you got to do.
Right.
You got a cool husband, it sounds like.
Very cool, very supportive, very lucky.
Yeah. So I know that you have your aunt and the guru and your husband and some people that outside of like medical professionals and some friends, like they all know you attempted. Now a lot more people know you attempted because it's in the book.
Right.
Was there a point, particularly just after, where you kind of kept it quiet? I don't want to tell people.
Oh, yes, definitely. I was not ashamed, but I was embarrassed. Like, I didn't want that attention, and I didn't want certain people to know what I had been through. And it was random. It wasn't like, oh, it's this group of friends or that. It was just like certain people would just trigger me. And I just think, I don't want them to know what I've been through.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to talk about it with them,
Yeah.
or I don't want to be judged by them. But in the end, I just said, whatever. I want to help people. So this is my way of doing it. So I'm
Mm.
just gonna sit with feeling uncomfortable when it comes up.
Was there ever a time after your attempt that you wished, you know what? I wish I had gone.
No, I don't feel that. I feel like really grateful to be alive, but I do wish that, I didn't have to go through such, intense neurological
Yeah.
damage.
You paid a price, man.
I did. Yes.
At some point, I would like to read your book. It sounds like the kind of book, based on our talk, that isn't necessarily the kind of. There's certain books I don't like, and I'm a jerk. I can be a jerk. I am. Where it's just like, I went through something hard. My life is good. Your life is good. Like, hey, everything's Disney. And I just think that's missing the point so much. Life is hard.
Yeah. It can be
Just because
terrible.
I went through something doesn't mean you're in the same, you know what I mean? Just like, there's somebody right
Right.
now, maybe they have a copy of your book somewhere, but their hair is out and they're taking drug and because they're in the same position you were for 10, 15, whatever it was, years ago. I don't know if that made any sense. I'm just tired of that shit. I
It
think it's
does.
I think it's so damaging. I really do.
Yeah, it is. And it like the preachiness that can come across and it's not fair. It's not helpful on any level.
Of the percentage of people that you engage with, whether they read your book and they reach out, a random person at a coffee shop, you're a friend of your whoever, what percentage of the people, when you share this stuff with, are cool about it and aren't weird and don't say things that are it's going to be some people that say the dumb shit, right?
Right, of course.
Most okay, or we're talking like 50-50?
I'd say like 80% are totally like really cool and just say thanks for sharing. And whether or not they elaborate, some people just like an insider's perspective as well. Like they like it. But then I've noticed that there's this 20% group of people that have the book that will never open it. They
Mm.
don't know. They don't want to read the back jacket copy. It's like it doesn't exist.
Hmm.
So I just respect that too. And I don't try to, nag or say, how's it coming along?
How many pages is your book?
I think it's
You
200.
know how many pages your fucking
Okay, it's
book.
208.
Right. I'm not sure. I just spent 7 years writing this, going through a painful publishing process. It's around.
Yeah, I'm just gonna play coy while I'm
I
on the
haven't looked at every
phone.
page 1,000 times.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool and it's, written in a style for people if people have like attention span issues like I do. It's very attention span friendly because it was something that I had to be able to write and sustain my interest.
Hmm. And the website is factoryofmaladies.com.
Yes.
Wait, let me see it. Wait. Factory of Maladies. It's cool. I'm just describing it to people. The Factory of Maladies, 7 days on a San Francisco psych ward, and then a memoir. Done. We've got a memoir title. Actually, in this case, Debbie actually wrote the whole damn book. And then it's cool. It's got like water droplets.
Exactly. It poured the entire time I was on the psychiatric unit. So,
Oh, but I bet it took a long. Was that one of these moments where you're like, I know the cover. You
yes, I
knew
saw
that,
the image and I just thought, that's it.
but even with droplets, you still have to design it.
Right. I'm lucky. I have a friend that's a graphic designer. So he kind of read my mind and was like, he read the book. So he knew that's perfect.
Did you ever receive or do you have a diagnosis? And I always ask that you agree with.
I do. Yes. I have a diagnosis. I agree with it. PTSD, major depressive disorder, anxiety disorder. And I do agree.
So the pink and purple pill question, Debbie. This pink and purple pill, if I give it to you, you can do whatever you want with it. But should you choose to take it, you go to sleep gently. There's absolutely no pain. You don't wake up and nobody knows it's a suicide. You can take it. You can save it. There's no expiration date. You can throw it out. You can't give it away. It doesn't work on other people. What do you do with that?
I'd like to say that I would just flush it down the toilet, but maybe I would just hide it somewhere.
Hmm. Are there any myths or misconceptions, and they tend to come up organically as they have, but that you want to add with respect to, and I guess it could be with suicide, suicidality, assault, hospitalization, whatever else that you want to share that's like, nah, that's just bullshit.
Yes, there's so much that I'd like to talk about. The main thing for me that I've come across, even with people that like know and love me, is that this idea that a suicide attempt is selfish.
Mhm.
I do not agree with that. I never will. It's one of the very few things that makes me incredibly angry. For me, if you're in that much pain, there is no selfish because for me, I actually thought like the only escape from the pain was death.
Mhm.
And I thought the world would be better without me on it. So there's no ego really involved. There was just pain and
Yeah.
trying to escape the pain. But being labeled as selfish really hurts.
Life wasn't hard enough.
Right. And then you have that. It's funny to me how often it comes up in conversation when people don't know my past. They'll mention something, oh, it's one thing to be depressed or anxious, but to try to commit suicide, to do that to your family, that's terrible. That's not acceptable. Other things are, but that's not.
If you want someone who's tried to end their life to maybe try again, just say that shit a lot to them.
Exactly. That's
Mhm.
it.
Here's a simple list for you. Do this
Right.
a lot. You increase that person's likelihood a lot.
Yeah.
I am wondering what helps you feel good or decent or a little less shitty day to day. What helps? What helps you feel not shitty or not alone, which is the sort of tagline for this podcast, less shitty, less alone. What helps you feel that way?
There's a lot of things. Like I've learned to appreciate the simple things in life. And whether that may sound like a little cheesy or basic, especially with, some neurological damage. For me, like there's nothing like my first cup of coffee in the morning while I watch the city awaken, or I found the joy of exercise or creativity and, a select group of supportive friends and family. Those
Mhm.
are the things that have helped me heal the
Yeah.
most.
Yeah. I was going to ask how many people, más o menos,
Yeah.
up, you know some Spanish.
Uh, just un poquito.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. How many people más o menos know, not know, can you talk to in a way where even if you were suicidal or ideating and you could have that entire conversation and both during and after, you wouldn't feel worse and maybe even feel better? How many people do you have in your life like that?
I would say 3.
Hmm.
And I feel very lucky with having 3.
I hope one of them's living in your home right now.
Yeah, he's right behind me.
I saw him. I saw
Yeah.
Krishna, right?
Yeah.
Have you been listening to me the whole time, dog?
No, he's been in his own meeting, his work meeting, and
Oh, it's cool. I don't mind at all. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Is there any part of your book, even a sentence that you want to read? Or does that give it away too much? Or maybe just the back cover? I don't know. Whatever.
oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. Okay. The Factory of Maladies is an unflinching memoir exploring the stigma of mental illness, the danger of cults, and family dynamics. Confused and disoriented, Debbie Hartung awakens in a psych ward, her memories fragmented. The Factory of Maladies tells of her 7-day ordeal, a raw and visceral journey through the dehumanizing routines and unsettling encounters within the institution. written with a compassionate tone and dark humor. It also exposes the role family can play in helping or harming a patient in distress. Additionally, she bravely reveals the inadequacies of our current mental health system. Hartong's narrative exposes the disorientation and complexities of mental illness and a quest for healing amidst the chaos of crisis. The Factory of Maladies is heartbreaking, maddening, humorous, and most of all, hopeful.
And it's 208 pages exactly.
Exactly.
I want to take a guess here. Okay. You don't have to reveal this because that does give it away a little bit. I think this book starts. That's a hard part. Right? Where does it start? You got a million choices. Where it could start anywhere. It could start when I'm a kid. It could start today. I think it starts in the hospital.
Yes, that's it.
It
Yes.
starts I don't have to get exact beyond that. I'm not saying a day or a week. I don't know how many days. I think it starts in the hospital. And I think the end, this is the hard part. The default for most people is to sort of do present day, the end, which is a choice. And it could be a very good choice. I think it's earlier. I think you did a thing. I have no idea why I'm saying this, where you're going to loop it back. The end's going to go where it begins, but you're going to do it fast forward a little bit. So it's like when you're getting out of the hospital and the sun is shining.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
Stop, Debbie. Did I just nail that?
You did.
This is why this is my real gift. Forget podcasting. Forget podcasting. I'm wasting my time with this shit. How many podcasts have you been on?
15 maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been lucky. I've had some good publicity so far.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's a lot. That's a grind to just schedule all that.
Right.
Is there a tour, like a bookstore tour in part of San Francisco?
I did a great event at the Book Passage in the Ferry Building, which one of my favorite independent bookstores. So that was like the big San Francisco event. And I did go to New York and my book's in a few Barnes and Nobles.
Wait, what?
Yes.
How did you make that happen?
My partner, Krishna, is like this amazing salesperson. He works in publishing as his life. So he works some magic and just kind of went in and just said, hi, can I sign some books and take some pictures? And they were very nice.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What else, Debbie, would you like to share before we get back to our lives?
The one thing that I really hope people take away from, reading my book or talking to me is a sense of hope and resilience. So I'm a firm believer in that. I honestly, I wanted to die with every fiber of my being. And now I want to live like with that same gusto.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't always easy. And sometimes it was shitty and it hurt, but you can recover. Yeah.
Thank you for spending 75 minutes of your Saturday in a cool Northern California apartment with me.
Thank you, Sean. It's been wonderful to meet you and to be on your show. And I'd love to send you a copy of my book as well.
Oh, that would be awesome. I do want to see how I nailed the beginning and the end.
Right? You have to, yeah.
Unbelievable.
10 out of 10.
Holy cow.
It's comforting to know like all the trauma is just like right in here and it's kind of like tucked away.
I'm wishing you all good things.
Thank you. I wish the same to you. And I really appreciate you having me on your show and for such a, really thoughtful, in-depth conversation. It's been
absolutely my pleasure. I will talk to you soon. I'll send you that link in the next few days. And I hope you enjoy your weekend, Debbie.
Thanks. I hope you do too. Thanks, Sean. Bye.
All right. Take care. Bye. As always, thanks so much for listening and all of your support. And special thanks to Debbie in California. Thanks, Debbie. If you are a suicide attempt survivor or ideator and you'd like to talk, I would love to talk with you. Please reach out. hello@suicidenoted.com. The tour starts in 8 days. I hope you can make it out to one of our events. I would love to meet you. If you want to help out with a financial contribution, you know where to go. givebutter.com/suicide noted. It's tax deductible. Appreciate your support. Appreciate you listening. And that's all for this week's episode. Stay strong. Do the best you can. I will talk to you soon.